There's so many things that really did, like our grandparents' day, and we're like, well, that's it, that tradition is gone. But not necessarily, because an awful lot of traditions that we would have in the Christian calendar, they come from Celtic times, right?
Yes, Celtic and kind of pre-Christian, pagan, and even Norse. Even the word Yule itself comes from Old Norse. So you would have had over 1,000 years ago.
Yule comes from what?
Yule comes from Norse, Old Norse, like Scandinavia countries.
Right. Okay.
So they still, that's kind of the words that they would use in Swedish, in Danish, and in Norwegian.
So for the Yule log and Yuletide.
Yuletide, the word originally comes from.
So does that just mean Christmas time?
Yeah, basically just the seasonal period. So back 1,000 years ago, the King of Norway would have encouraged not only to celebrate Christmas because he was Christian, but he would have also encouraged his subjects, if they were pagan, to celebrate Yule, which would have been their celebration. So they would have had 3 days of feasting, lots of drinking like we do today, and also they would have done oath swearing, so kind of like our New Year's resolutions.
Okay.
So
they were doing that 1,000 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go outside now. I'm gonna pick up a few more trees. Gonna do the weights. You know, 1,000 years ago.
Just taking it back again
with the Norse fellas. Yeah, that's it. Handy out.
What about the winter solstice? That was a big Celtic tradition back then, wasn't it?
100%. Yeah, 100%. So we know it's really important because we've places like Newgrange in County Meath, of course, with the Passage Tomb, and there's also a Passage Tomb actually in Knockrow in County Kilkenny, which also aligns with the winter solstice sun.
Kilkenny? We normally celebrate everything in Kilkenny. You need to start pushing that one a bit more.
Oh, no, it's really big down in Kilkenny. There's always a group gathering every year in Kilkenny.
Derek's been down there for that.
Has he?
Yeah. Actually, Derek wouldn't miss a chance.
Good point.
What about mummering? What's that?
Mummering. So mummering, we don't know exactly the origins. There's theories that it goes back to pagan times as well. Mummering would have been across the 12 days of kind of Christmas or the 12 days of Yule. And also, sometimes in some parts of the country would start weeks before. So people would dress up, so they'd have old clothes and costumes. You've probably seen the kind of conical straw hats and kind of those costumes. So they would go around from house to house around their community. They'd do parades, Irish dancing, music, and they'd collect money. And then after the holiday, they would take all that money and have a big party, like a big community dance. And so that tradition has been kept alive. It's had a resurgence, particularly over lockdown in County Leitrim. The modern day mummers actually started during lockdown to try and bring a bit of festive spirit back to the communities. Yeah,
that is so lovely.
With the straw hats, they've very much kept that very traditional.
So if you've got, so they're the mummers, right? And then I think we've got a picture of the Wren Boys.
Yes.
Because are they the same thing, or is there, what are the Wren Boys?
So the Wren Boys are slightly different. So they all would have had similar costumes. So you can see them there. That's maybe. No. So they would have all had similar costumes. It would be the same as the Straw Boys, who would have went to wakes and weddings as well.
Right.
But the Wren Boys would have specifically gone out on Stephen's Day, or Law on Droleen, which is the day of the Wren. So back kind of in older times, they would have actually gone out and caught a wren and put it on a stick and kind of paraded it around.
Oh,
but like obviously we're doing better. Yeah, we don't do that anymore. So they actually get a kind of a toy wren, or a kind of they make a wren, and they'll go around again. They'll dress up, but they would have actually been a bit like trick or treating actually at Halloween. So they would have gone to people's houses and looked for tricks or money, kind of collection again, similar to the mummers. But if they didn't get a treat, they would have taken a feather and threatened to bury it at the person's house to kind of give them bad luck for the year. Okay. So very much like trick-or-treating, just such a happy tradition.
Would you have a coin for the wren? I always remember that. 100%. Coming around to the house, do you have money for the wren?
Yeah.
Did you ever have that, Muireann?
No.
No.
We had it in Limerick and Kerry.
What about robin redbreast? What robin's kind of big Christmassy?
100%, yeah. Robins are, we see them all around this time of year. You know, the phrase, when a robin appears, a loved one is near.
Yes.
I always associate them with my grandparents. So generally, on my grandparents' anniversaries, my granddad's anniversaries, I will see a robin, so I very much associate them with that. But they are also in Irish folklore known to predict the weather. So if a robin, let's say, comes on your windowsill or on your doorstep, snow is supposed to come.
Oh,
Yeah.
brilliant.
You'll be looking
keeping
out.
an eye out for
Like, man,
that.
and the red breast is due to come from, wasn't it Jesus on the
Jesus,
cross?
yeah.
And the blood dripped on the
Yeah,
robin.
there's also a story that says that a robin once helped out a fairy, one of the Irish fairies, and they painted the robin's red breast for luck because red would have been associated with the fairies.
See,
There you have
it's
it.
all connected. And holly, big tradition, obviously, in Ireland.
100%, yeah. So holly would have been brought in and decorated around windowsills and doorways and made into wreaths for protection. And there's also a lot of cures as well associated with holly. And there's actually a story about Petticoat Luce. I don't know if you've ever heard of Petticoat Luce. It was this legendary Irish witch that would have been in kind of Connacht and Munster. And there's a story on the National Folklore collection of a holly branch being used to actually protect against this specific witch.
Petticoat witch. I want to find out all about her now. I love it. That can be your new name for me. It'll be fantastic.